City Commission workshop for January 23rd, 2023. It is 5:30. So welcome. I appreciate everyone who is able to be here. Our first order of business is public comment. It is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I will turn this over to Ted Deering, our interim city manager, to lead us through the process.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, appreciate it. As the commission knows, we have contracted with the Michigan Municipal League, or the MML, to help us facilitate a search process for the next city manager. And at this point in the process, we've been able to have some pretty productive conversations with a group of community stakeholders as well as city staff about the key attributes and characteristics of what we're looking for in the next city manager. And tonight is our opportunity to engage the commission in that conversation. Obviously, the commission's feedback on that particular issue is critical. Once we finish here tonight, the MML is going to compile all the information that they have received to date into a job profile that will be on the commission's agenda for adoption at the February 4th meeting. So I am going to turn it over to Patsy Moore from the MML, who's just going to take the commission through a series of questions, I believe, just to get your comment, your feedback, your input on the job profile.
Good evening.
Good evening, Patsy.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you all for entrusting MML to do this important work with you. We are excited to partner with you in finding your next city manager. That is the purpose, to gain your input. I know that this is one of the most important things that you do as a city commission, is to hire your city manager. We certainly want to get your input as elected officials representing the priorities of the community. So as we move forward in this process, we will be collecting your input. We will be putting that together. As Ted indicated, we've had several sessions already, and I can share a little bit with you what those sessions yielded us. We had a session with community stakeholders. We had a session with senior leadership staff this week, and we are receiving input from employees, all employees, and a summary of that information will also be shared with you. So that is what we're hoping to do tonight. Again, thank you for taking the time to do this important work with us. And as Ted indicated, we are on an aggressive timeline. We are hoping to gain your input. I'll put it together. I'll bring it back to you. You will review it and edit and/or finally approve it. And we are hoping to get your job posted the week of February 10th. We usually post for about 4 weeks, so that would put us about March 11th, that week, 1 month later. And given that timeline, it will take us a couple weeks to do screening and application analysis. We will do that, and hopefully we'll be interviewing candidates around mid-April. Given that timeline, we hope to have a contract approved by the 1st of May, and that's what the timeline looks like. And that is in a perfect world, if all of the blocks fall exactly as we have indicated. So that's what we're looking forward to. So this is the first step of that important work. I will share with you a little bit information that we gained from perspective from first of all, the stakeholders, the community stakeholders, share with you some of their comments. They talked about the importance of having the candidate having a clear vision for the community, that the leadership style should align with everyone going in the same direction. They wanted the candidate to really focus on relationship building and listening. Their desired qualities included being innovative and creative, integrity in relationships and decision-making, empowering for both the team and the community. In the Community engagements, they expect connection and accessibility, and talked about the need for genuine and authentic engagement with community stakeholders. They felt that skills in labor negotiations and economic development were high on their list, experience with public safety and police and fire, understanding of full-service municipality operations. They indicated that there was not necessarily a preference for a specialist, but more like a generalist who can navigate the various needs of the city more effectively than, per se, a specialist. They also said that prior city manager experience would not be high on their list as a strict requirement. They wanted qualities such as problem solving, understanding state funding mechanisms, a focus on housing, unity, growth, and retention. A couple of other things they said. The role of the city manager should be action-oriented and detail-driven, making a commitment to equity, inclusion, and sustainability. Felt that some of the major challenges facing the city regarding capacity and infrastructure, healthcare access and immigration, managing expectations of various stakeholders, developing and executing plans that meet diverse needs. On the communication, ensuring that the entire community has access to information, addressing generational differences in communication styles, transparency, being transparent about struggles so that everyone can get involved in solutions, and the importance of holding hope while addressing challenges. And the same message should be communicated internally and externally. Ability to tailor messages for the audiences. Able to access resources, outside resources that can help with the problems that the city might be facing. So those were kind of a summary of some of the comments from the community stakeholders that we met with. Then we met with senior leadership staff as they thought about the desired leadership qualities for the new city managers. They emphasized the importance of strong communication skills, servant leadership style, visionary thinking, and decision-making abilities for the new city manager. Qualities that were considered essential for success would be the decision-making, which is flexible and responsive to circumstances, possessing an equity mindset. Management style looking to foster collaboration and morale, accessibility, being present, setting clear expectation, prioritization, and high trust in the skills of each department. They wanted a city manager that can keep it real. Technical skill, while no specific technical skills were deemed necessary, it did stress someone needs to have some financial acumen, change management mindset, the ability to engage at a practitioner level while taking advantage of the expertise of the department leaders. They felt that immediate challenges for a new city manager would be including addressing aging facilities and infrastructure, legacy costs, improving employee morale, talent retention, and navigating traditional methods toward innovation. Core values, accountability, transparency, and deep appreciation for diversity were emphasized. So yeah, they thought that the city is complex with a lot of potential, and they felt that the right city manager should be able to appreciate that difference. So that's just a summary of some of the comments that we received. Once again, we'll be getting those surveys back from the employees and we will share a summary of those with you as well. And while we're gaining your input tonight, if after you get any of that additional information, because I noticed this evening we did get a couple of forms completed by stakeholders who were not able to attend. So if you see some of those and you have additional comments after tonight, even though we're on a tight schedule, if you can get them to Ted and he'll get them to me immediately, we'll incorporate all of that into what we bring back to you for your review. So with that being said, we are ready to hear what you have to say about your next city manager. I will be taking notes. The first thing that we would like for you to do is to list 2 to 3 priorities for the city manager profile. And as you're thinking about these priorities, I want you to think about qualifications. What education, certification, or technical expertise would you be looking for? Experience. Years in leadership role, does it have to be in similar municipalities? Does it have to be in a specific sector? Want to look at leadership traits. Do you want visionary, collaborative, community-focused, innovative, those kinds of things? So that would be my first question of you, and if each of you in turn could give me either 2 or 3 top priorities as it relates to those attributes and requirements, that would be helpful.
Commissioner
How
Simmons,
do you
would
want to
like
start? Are you just going to go down the road?
I think because this is going to, there will be several rounds, so
Sure.
I think I'll kick it off with you, and then the next round we'll kick it off with the mayor, and then.
And I do appreciate you sharing some of the input from the community stakeholders and the staff. That is helpful. And I agree with most of what you shared. There are a couple of areas that I think I differ when you were talking about the community stakeholders and that they wanted to see someone with a clear vision, which that sounds great, but also our city manager's role as the executive is to run the city. And we, as the city commission, set the policy. We are the vision. And now that's not to say that this person can't have some vision that they can share with us and bring us along and we can all be on. So I think I like the term that you used a little bit later, collaborative, better than I did just charging off with your own vision of how the city should be made.
Okay.
Now, this is a group process. And we are the members that are elected by the people, and we're the closest to the people as far as engagement.
Absolutely.
And so I guess I would clarify that clear vision thing, not, okay, do you follow me? This is not.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not the role of our city manager, is to bring a new vision and implement that vision.
And there will
Yep.
be competing thoughts that we gain from each of those individuals, and as we come back together and put them all together, it will be you that will determine the final profile.
Great, thank you. But
So-
that's just the first thing I wanted to say. So
Okay.
I guess then the person would have the attribute of being collaborative.
Okay.
With, in particular, the commission, from my standpoint, and in particular, the commission. Some of the city managers, I'm not going to go through examples or anything, but that I've worked with in the past, struggled with that. I've had, they want to go in one direction and maybe the commission wants to go in another. And so that's not the role I see of a city manager.
Okay.
The role I see of a city manager is to implement the policy that the commission
Okay.
lays out. Now, that's a rough job because you got a new commission every 2 years and that might change, but that's the nature of our form of government. Another thing you mentioned, some of the stakeholders had mentioned that they don't necessarily think they need to have previously been a city manager. I might disagree with that because of all the things that are so important, the labor negotiation skills, the interaction with the public safety, police, and fire, the finance part of it. I don't see how you couldn't have been at least like an assistant city manager and then not have those skills. You could be a department head, but you're not running a whole city as a department head. So I think it needs to be some kind of a whole city experience, whether it be a city manager or assistant city manager. And as far as the budget is huge for me. And this current economic climate with high inflation, our residents are really struggling. And they're
So we'll get to some of those specifics a little later on.
So I guess what 2 or 3 points were you looking for right now? What are the most important? What?
Like the qualifications, like the experience, like you're indicating that previous experience as a city manager or assistant city manager is important to you. Being collaborative is important to you.
So I'll leave it at that for now, then we'll talk about the other issues. Thank you.
Mayor?
Okay. One attribute that I really appreciated from our former city manager was the ability to work with the very large foundations and nonprofits. And because of the makeup of our community, when it comes to some of the work that they do, I think that is important to me because I think there's been so much accomplished during the past 10 years with their assistance that we need to continue that.
Okay.
So I don't know if we specifically identify that or we just acknowledge that we appreciate what the foundations, especially the large foundations, have done in Battle Creek to assist us in a lot of our neighborhood problems, our church issues, and the housing issues as we move forward. You know, and I don't want to single out DEI, but I think it's important that we realize that there could be a wave of transformation when it comes to DEI to a more conservative, what I'm hearing right now is merit, excellence, and, you know, a change there. And I really feel that we have made some progress, but we may want to look up what MEI is about and whether or not we want to be more merit and high standards when it comes to how we encourage our employees to excel. And I believe that's it right now.
Commissioner Lacoste?
I agree as far as like having someone that has a collaborative background, or collaborative style of leadership, I think is very important. Someone that really focuses on team retention, because we've got such an issue here, and team morale. I think that a degree in political science or business is obviously mandatory. I do also agree that...
Could you speak up just a little?
Yes, I also agree that to some extent, they should have been involved in some type of municipal government. Not necessarily a city manager, but something along those realms, I think is extremely important. And the ability to reach out to outside resources, whatever those may be, having those contacts and knowing where to reach out.
Okay.
Is that all?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Kotarski-Smith?
Okay, so I think I kind of echo what Commissioner Simmons was saying, that I would prefer to see somebody that has dealt with, basically, you know, been in a position already with something important with the city manager, assistant city manager. I just think that that probably brings the most understanding of how everything is run. And then I think also budgeting, someone that has dealt with a large budget or in that kind of realm is important as well.
Okay.
And that's all I have, I think, for that question.
Okay.
Can I add something on to mine?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So, Mayor, thank you for saying something about the nonprofits and the foundations. That's always important, and we put together this community stakeholders. And it's a group that we've used before, which was really heavy on nonprofits and foundations. And there's so much more in Battle Creek than just nonprofits and foundations. We have a lot of large and small businesses. And so one of the things that I asked the mayor when they were putting their group together is that we include some folks from the business community. I think I had suggested some representative from the building trades, someone, since we face such a crisis on housing, someone from maybe the Realtors Association, and I think the mayor for helping facilitate getting a couple of representatives from that area. So it's been the case in the past with some of the city managers that the circle is a lot of the nonprofits and the foundations, but we need to go beyond that. And we do a lot with this big business, our economic development with VCU and the Fort Custer Industrial Park, and we do have a small business development arm, but there's a lot more in town of small business. Probably, if you added up all the employers, small business versus large business, probably more small business, and I think we need to do better engagement on that as well. So somehow can I encapsulate all of that, what I just shared. And that goes back to my collaborative point, not just focused on government, nonprofit, but which we still need to do, but broaden that engagement.
Got it.
I think that you're hearing there's a great desire for collaboration, and that has to be between the nonprofits, the business community, the neighborhood groups. I mean, all of these are important components, and that they are what make our community unique and make it the place that it is. I also agree that experience is important. I think that whether it's, a mid to large city, I think that if someone were coming from, a village of a couple thousand, I think that that's hard. It's kind of apples to oranges, running a 2,000 person village versus a 50,000 person city. But I recognize that there are townships out there that have a larger population than us. So some sort of governmental, whether it's municipal, township experience, I think is important. The other component that I think is really important, and I don't know if that falls in this, is communication. I think that if someone can communicate, it makes it a whole lot easier for everyone to kind of understand where they are. You might not like it, but at least there's a better understanding. I have also appreciated our most recent city manager sent out weekly updates. And I know that they could get really lengthy at times, but as a commissioner, I appreciated not ever being blindsided. Or if something came up during the course of the week, we would get an email saying, hey, there's a big issue and you just need to be aware. And I think, as commissioners, none of us want to be surprised by a question that we get from our community, from a community member. So an ability to communicate both written and verbally is going to be an important priority for me.
Okay. So we basically have three categories. We have governance and leadership, community engagement, and organizational and strategic focus. Under the governance and leadership, I've heard a lot about kind of leadership style. I'm hearing collaboration. I'm hearing implementer of the commission's vision, great communicator with some experience with a similar size organization. Is there anything else that you would like to address under the leadership style section that you would want to see?
Can I add something? As far as leadership style, I would just like to see somebody that is involved with the community and as well as the nonprofits, the foundations and the small businesses, but, that's just also really involved with our community, because Battle Creek, you know, we do have a wide array of everything and everyone, and I just want to see somebody that's really excited about being a part of that. So involvement within our community is huge to me.
So I think the staff touched on it, trust, that they trust the people that they put in those positions to do the job that they've been tasked with, without micromanaging. That's expected of us as city commissioners to hire the city manager, not micromanage them. So, and it goes, continues working on down throughout the city organization. So I think that's important. This person has to have a bigger picture instead of and they have to have the experience and the knowledge of, yes, when I'm looking at a budget, understanding what they're looking at, but put the faith and the trust in your budget officer to actually be doing things properly. And then we get audits and all like that. And that would go for all of the departments. So I think I would echo what staff said as far as the trust. I think that's an important part of leadership.
I also agree about having someone that updates us regularly, I think is extremely important as far as communication style goes. And also looking for someone that's innovative and can, think outside the box in terms of the different challenges that we have in the city, because we're, I think, so much more unique than a lot of different areas.
Should the next city manager prioritize collaborative decision-making or decisive action? So would you put one above the other? You want collaboration in the decision-making, but how do you prioritize with that city manager being able to make a decision when it's necessary to do so?
Can I say it depends?
Okay.
Because you need to have both sets of skills.
Okay.
There are certain things that do need decisive action that don't necessarily need to come back to the commission and have a collaborative thing or even a community engagement. There are certain things that I would expect the city manager to execute with authority that we've granted. And then there are certain things that will come before us that we have to go in a more collaborative manner. So
Absolutely.
both skills are required.
I truly feel that having the best grasp of how government operates is an attribute or concern that I really am going to be looking for, because I've had city managers in the past that didn't quite understand how certain functions or certain divisions operate, and it seemed like we bogged them down. Our previous city manager was on top of every department, and she understood how government really operated. And if she didn't, she would spend her own time making certain that she understood that. There were several emergencies that we had during the last 10 years, and I'll never forget one. I received a phone call. My daughter went to a school not too far from City Hall, and the water was off, and they couldn't flush the toilet. So they called my office and said, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know." Well, we had a very large pipe was busted or was drilled into by the CNN, I believe. And consequently, it almost reversed our water flow throughout the city. And Rebecca was on top of that, and she understood what needed to be done, and they quickly did it. It was an emergency, but still, they understood the gravity of the situation, and that's what I'm looking for. Someone that has experienced that and wasn't afraid to lead. And one more item that we're very fortunate to be in the financial condition that we are today with our general fund balance. And I don't know if we can go higher or not, but with the level of general fund balance, that has been a testament to all the city employees and all the taxpayers too, because they've contributed, but at the same time, we've invested and we've spent their money very wisely. And I think we need to continue to do that.
I agree with what the mayor said as far as having somebody that really has an understanding of every department is imperative, or if they don't, someone that's willing to really dive in and get to know each and every one, the ins and outs of how it works, you know, and then can still step back and let that department, you know, kind of lead itself and not micromanage it so much, but really understands it as a whole and is really willing to get their feet wet and go in, someone that can remain calm under pressure as well.
So I think also it depends on the situation as far as like the collaborative or making a decision. I think that like one of my things is I would like to see somebody that's more proactive than reactive. That's important. So if there is something that comes up that they're able to handle or figure out how to handle, then, you know, it would be nice to see them be able to do that ahead of time before something is out of control because they're waiting for somebody else to give them an answer. So it depends on the situation, but.
Anything else?
Yes, I would agree. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I won't belabor.
Okay, okay. The next question is, how should the city manager interact with the community and the stakeholders? And I've already heard some of that. You definitely want them to be able to interact with all segments of the community. You want to make sure that they are involved with businesses as well as foundations and neighborhoods. You want them to be truthful, a good communicator. Is there anything else you would like to emphasize in how the city manager interacts with the community and the stakeholders and
Well,
other stakeholders?
She needs to be, he or she needs to be very transparent and have an open door policy.
Okay.
You're not going to please everyone, especially in Battle Creek, because there are certain individuals that feel that they're right no matter what, and you can give them every answer that they want to hear, but they still will not agree with you. And Rebecca, our previous city manager, was able to do that. There was not always support, but I don't think you can find anyone that would say that they weren't able to meet with her. So that's important. And I think it's just a management style, because if someone would like to talk to the city manager, they should be able to talk to them.
Okay.
I also think it's important that this city manager really get out into the community and go to the local events, not just sit back, you know, at City Hall and work with the departments here, but really be involved in the different things, you know, go to an NPC meeting here and there, and just really be involved in community events and get their face out there. They're kind of the face of this city, and we really need to have them, you know, wanting to be involved and, you know, getting to know the people here.
So basically, we want them to live, eat, breathe, and sleep Battle Creek. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Say that again.
Live, eat, breathe, and sleep Battle Creek. No, but, yeah, it's just the same thing, you know, as I was saying earlier, just being also involved in the community, like she was saying, going to the events. And I think just making sure that there are events available. I would like to see somebody that prioritizes our youth in our community. So maybe making sure that there's things for the youth going on, there's events for them, how did they go, you know, showing up to a couple. And then, of course, just being involved with, like, the small businesses, checking in with them. But just also understanding that every citizen of Battle Creek is the citizen of Battle Creek, you know. So I think homeowners, non-homeowners, all of that, you know, everybody here is a citizen and they need to be addressed as such. I think somebody that can take inputs and ideas from not just the commission, but the community and stuff as well is very important.
I also wanted to add, probably back to our first topic, but would like to see somebody who, I know Rebecca had said, you know, they would advise us, the commission, on what they thought we should do with certain ordinances, but then, you know, whatever decision we would make, they would support us. And someone that really has that ability, that isn't going to get hung up on their, you know, side of it if we choose to go the opposite route, but can really get behind that.
So I'm glad Commissioner Kuczarski-Smith said what she said as far as engaging all the city. And I spoke to it earlier about broadening the engagement with your community stakeholders, the businesses, but residents as well. And not just, I want to try to phrase this without sounding insensitive to, you know, marginalized communities, but we do spend a lot of time focusing on marginalized, lower-income areas. And there's a lot of funds that we were talking about, community development block grants the other night, and we have to spend those in certain areas. But the city is very diverse, and we have areas that I think sometimes like, oh, they're doing fine. We're going to leave them alone. Really does need to be a whole city approach. Yeah. And that's the complaint I hear from residents sometimes, that we do focus, not saying we shouldn't, but we focus a lot of energy on certain areas and not a whole city approach. So that's important to me. Okay.
Anything else on that? What values and communication strategies are critical? And again, I've heard some of your thinking on communication, but is there anything else that you would like to add?
I like the Vice Mayor's comments about her weekly updates. I mean, if you really study the weekly update, you can get information about so many things that are taking place, and if you need additional information, just call Rebecca or you call the city manager and say, expound on what you met, or what was this meeting about, the two people in your office. And she had no problem sharing that information. I think that's important. And you can watch a lot of things develop that way.
I think the team retention, you know, really focusing on that is a huge thing. We've got such a big issue with that right now, and I don't want to lose the good people that we do have. People are going to burn out if they don't feel appreciated, and, you know, really, if morale doesn't improve. So I think that's imperative that we figure that out. So someone that's really able to get in there and do something with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think the open lines of communication, the weekly emails. I've appreciated Ted's because I really didn't get Rebecca's emails, but Ted, your emails have been fantastic, weekly updates. So it's nice to have those. So yeah, that, and then just the general communication with the community, and social media, I'm sure is how all that's done now, but mostly. But just the open communication.
So from a communication standpoint, sometimes we'll have communication, and we're talking a lot about collaboration, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye. And whoever this person is, this is a very diverse city and a lot of diverse opinions and complete opposite ends of the spectrum many times. And we're going to still have to work collaboratively like that. Sometimes I don't see eye to eye with my fellow commissioners. Sometimes I have previously not seen eye to eye with the city manager and or city staff. And we need to be able to all of us have a thick skin and be able to hear things that we don't necessarily sometimes want to hear, but then continue to engage and continue to collaborate to come to a mutual agreement on a way forward. That's going to be extremely important to me for a new city manager. That and going back to talking about the vision, okay, that person might have a vision, but we also have a board here that has a vision that might sometimes butt heads, and we need to be on the same page.
Okay.
So thick skin, that's what that is. Someone that's not afraid to say like, hey, you know, also, can we come back and rediscuss this and see if we can come to some kind of an agreement? Yeah, I agree with that.
I would also like to see somebody who takes all the different department heads and gets them on the same page as far as communication, like social media aspect of it. Right now, we've got everything that falls to Brianne, and it's a lot, all the stuff that she has to do. And there's been a fear for different departments to take over some of those Facebook pages and different things. And I think if she was able to get everybody on the same page, she or he, and really have a standard for what they do, so no, we don't have to worry about how they're representing the city, but relinquish some of that power so it doesn't fall on one person, I think would be very beneficial.
I think as far as communication strategy, I know Rebecca was very good at this. I see Ted doing it, but Ted is now one person doing 2 jobs, and while he's got some assistants, he can only stretch so thin. But one of the things that I always appreciated was the monthly meetings. And I know that she had them with people other than just the commission, either monthly or quarterly meetings. She was meeting with school superintendents. She was meeting with other individuals throughout the community. And I think that that's going to be an important component going forward. It lends itself to that communication and kind of that face-to-face dialogue and building those relationships. I think that with regard to values and communication, empathy is another important component for our next city manager to have. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form insinuating that Rebecca or Ted or anyone that's been in that position doesn't have it, but I think that it's going to be important for whomever is in that position to have empathy. And as we've all pointed out, we're not all going to agree. And being able to say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. This is the way it's going to be. And, you know, how can we get past this and continue to foster those relationships? And I don't know how you encapsulate this, but, yeah, well, that's something else. So, yeah, that's, I guess, a couple things.
Okay.
I think the vice mayor made a good point there when it comes to empathy, because if the city manager can't put herself or himself into the shoes of a particular citizen that is trying to explain a situation that isn't fair to her or him, I don't think we're going to be able to use that individual, because there are so many particular scenes that we need to better understand, and having that empathy is important, I feel.
Okay. So, going back to skills and experiences that you want to see the next city manager have. I know we've talked about having some municipal experience. We talked about having some budgetary experience, and I've heard labor negotiation experience. Are there other skills or experiences that you feel are essential in managing the city operations?
I think the hiring of employees is very important today. If there's any deficiency that our previous city manager may have had, I'm not saying that she did, we got burned a few times in some hiring. And I think it's important that the skill set must be there to better understand how to hire the right person and not to fail.
I think currently there's been kind of, basically all the employees here have known that they can kind of move up the ladder, and that, in that sense, they've been encouraged to stay here. And I think that would be good to continue that type of mindset where someone can come in from one department and really kind of, earn their way up and grow. Sometimes they hop to different departments, but someone that's really willing to look at inside employees as opposed to bringing people constantly from outside, once they do get on board, is important too.
So I guess I would like to add, and I think the mayor touched on this somewhat, customer service. You're not just serving, or you're not just the employee of 9 commissioners. Yes, we are your supervisors. I could never work for nine bosses, but that person, it takes an extra level of skill. But really, as city manager, you are the employee of 50,000 people in the city of Battle Creek. And so the mindset that you serve all of them, not just the commission and not just staff. So the customer service mindset of, and he touched on it with the empathy when customers have, citizens, residents have issues, approaching it from that. And then I would like to see, as far as skills, we talked labor and finance budget, some organizational efficiency skills. I really think we have, as an organization, implemented a lot of efficiency. Our size of our city government is smaller than it was a decade ago. A lot of budgetary constraints led to that, but I think we can do more, and we owe it to our taxpaying citizens to do more, because our residents do more with less. And again, this current economic climate with inflation, businesses are doing more with less. Even I work for the federal government. We are doing more on a hiring freeze right now, and we are doing more with less. So someone who has maybe some experience in organization efficiency and planning, I think that would be helpful. Not saying we haven't done that, but maybe there's even more that we can do.
Okay. How should the city manager engage with you, the city commission? How would you like to see that relationship work?
I think what the vice mayor said, about these emails that we were sent weekly, I think are imperative, and as well as when major issues come up, kind of keeping us abreast of those situations. I've had bi-monthly meetings with Ted. I think that's important, either bi-monthly or monthly, for commission members, to feel like we can go to her or him with any questions. I think that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like the monthly meetings, I think that's, if that was how it was done before, I think that sounds like a really good plan.
Okay.
Monthly meetings, and then definitely like the email updates.
Okay. Anything else?
So there's a couple of different dynamics here. From interaction with commissioners as far as a policy standpoint, I can't walk in there and say, we're going to do this. I have to get at least 5, but hopefully we have more of a consensus than that as far as soon as new policy, new direction. So that's important, whatever the consensus of the commission from a policy, that person will be willing and able to implement that. From a one-on-one perspective, again, I think it's been said about the monthly meetings and the newsletters, but sometimes we do need a little extra special attention as commissioners. Maybe we have constituents who have a particular issue, and that's extremely important. And I don't have a problem with our past city managers. I usually get pretty responsive about that. There have been times where it seems as though I think our city, maybe a little defensive, hey, we're doing a great job, but let's take a look at it again. And then coming, again, from a customer service and empathetic mindset, from the one-on-one relations with the commissioners and our constituents and those issues that they might face.
Okay.
Mayor, did you have anything you wanted to add? I think, too, one of the things that, and again, the bulk of my time here has been with Rebecca, but one of the things that I appreciated about her was I could text her anytime. So I'm out to dinner on Friday night, and somebody comes up to me and says, hey, what's going on with this, or there's a problem here. I could shoot her a text, she would get it, acknowledge that she had gotten it, and then get that message routed to the correct person to respond. And I know that it's not her. If somebody wants to complain about the pothole in the road, that's not just a pothole, it's like a Charlie hole. And, and she could get that information to DPW and it would get taken care of. So I think I would like to see that same responsiveness going forward.
I think also someone that we can message about and get further information on the different ordinances, as we've been able to, is really important. Sometimes we need a little bit more information in order to make a decision on that, and they've been really great at getting that information back to us.
Okay. What would you like a candidate to know about your community?
That we have a lot going on, a lot of positive things are taking place throughout our community, and we want to continue that momentum and that way of working with the citizens of our community.
Okay, great.
We have a lot of people here that have grown up in Battle Creek and have stayed. I think more so in any other community I've ever been in. There's tons of people that grew up in their homes from when they were younger and now live in those homes as adults. But, so many other communities, you get people that move away, take jobs elsewhere. Here, people have, really strong ties to it, and someone needs to understand that, that. We also have such a diverse population. We have a very big Burmese population and up-and-coming Congolese population as well. Understanding the nuances of that as well. And we do have so many things going on. Positive things. I think there's room for a lot of growth, though. So somebody that can kind of look both ways and really, not focus just on the old heyday of Kellogg, but really across the board.
I think, as far as knowing things about our community, I think, yes, we do have a lot more things that have gone on recently in the recent years. I think the community would like to see that continue on as far as just building things for our community. I think from a community standpoint, a lot of people would like to see the safety, the overall safety of our city kind of increase. So
Say that
the
again.
safety of our city increase. I think someone that'll come in and have good open lines of communication with like our police department is going to be big too for reassurance for our community members. We have a huge population of youth in our community, and I think that people would like to continue to see things available for them to do, so those activities continue. Yeah, we have a great diversity in our community, and that's what makes us unique. And like she was saying, we have a lot of people that are born here, raised here, and live here, and I think that that's great because you don't see that a lot of places. So just knowing that and, kind of respecting and loving that about us.
I just want to agree real quick, as far as the services for the youth, I do think it's incredibly important, and we need to expand on those services so the kids aren't getting into trouble. And they have some more avenues to do things.
Good.
Anything else?
Mayor?
What have we missed?
What was that again?
What have we
What,
missed?
have we missed
Oh,
anything?
no.
I don't, go ahead.
Were we going to talk any more about budget and finance
About
as far as requirements?
the requirements for, I'm sorry.
Budget,
Budgeting.
finance, what do you,
Yeah, I had brought up budget when you were talking about the
Right,
first-
and that was-
the first bullets, and you said we would circle back.
That
later.
was in the question about what skills or experiences are essential.
Okay.
So I do have budgeting, but if you want to expound upon the budgeting.
No, I think I talk a little bit about government efficiency and organizational efficiency.
Yes.
And that would, that's kind of the angle I was going on.
Okay.
On the budget.
Okay,
So,
okay.
good.
I don't know how you quantify this. I want someone who will lose sleep over the decisions that they have to make, because they're not easy decisions. I mean, I recall when we did away with an entire department and downsized, actually, we did away with 2 departments, outsourced them both, and downsized some others. And I had appreciated about Rebecca at the time, the fact that it did cause her to lose sleep. This wasn't just okay, yep, we've got to cut X number of dollars, so we're going to do away with this, and we're going to do away with that, and move on to the next problem, issue, thing to be resolved. I want someone that's going to agonize and, sorry, Ted, sleep's overrated. But
Don't put that in the job description, you can't ever sleep.
But I mean, I don't know how to
Someone
quantify
that's
that.
personally invested.
Yeah, I mean, that personal ownership.
Okay.
I also think someone that's, can allocate the city's resources efficiently to where they need to go at any given time is important.
Okay.
And I think, I'd like to add, like, as far as skills, I think that it's important that we have somebody that is, adjusts to circumstances easily.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many things, we have such a population, and there's a lot of things that come up here, and we need somebody that can say, okay, this was the plan, but, because of this and that, we're gonna have to come up with a new plan.
Okay.
And they can, kind of adjust easily and move on and get us through.
Flexible.
But also at the same time have direction, not just have a clear direction for their departments and for everyone below them as well, I think.
I guess if I were to add anything else, and I'm thinking more recently about our fire station upgrades and things that are many decades long overdue on facilities, that we have someone who has the ability, not that we haven't, but forethought as far as in seeing problems 10, 20, 30 years down the road. What can we be doing now to be preparing for that? So when we get to that point, we're not, we have to take out a $25 million bond to fix this. Forethought, I guess, is planning, future planning.
Okay.
That's important.
Okay. Okay. So when we find this wonderful new city manager, what are we going to pay them?
What are we going to pay them?
Yes.
Cash.
What is the going rate? Haven't we done some compensation studies?
Yeah, we do have some comps of cities that are similar size, similar population and taxable value. And the median of those cities is 181. The average is about 180. I think you were about that. However, they range from a low of 140 to 210. So if I look at cities, in the 50,000 population range, you're definitely in the high 170s, 180. So you would want a range that if you brought in someone with less experience and or more experience, you would want a range there. Yes,
So someone who is less experienced, I would not expect them to come in and be automatically put at the same rate that we were paying Rebecca, who had been with the city for a decade.
not automatically, not automatically.
Right, so that, I would
And then there would be
expect-
some negotiation.
Yeah, I would expect that then we would also leave some room for sort of incentives and as going forward. So are you suggesting a range then?
I am suggesting a range.
Okay,
And the individual that you've described is not like a entry-level person,
right.
so.
I think that it's such a monumental decision that we, go to that higher level to attract and, get the candidate that we really want, because it's such a big, big issue. I mean, it's going to determine the projection of this city for however long, potentially 10 years, hopefully more. But we really want to attract the better candidates to this.
So Patsy, do you have a suggestion on, I mean, are you suggesting a range, or
I can.
based on your experience? I mean, that we've hired you to consult, so what
Yes.
are you suggesting?
I would suggest a range from 160 to 200.
I think that's fair.
And Rebecca was making, what was her?
175?
175.
Rebecca was almost right at 180, 180,
She was-
185.
yes.
Okay.
Is that range too wide?
It's up to you.
Maybe like
You can narrow it
190?
if you'd like.
I think is more.
I'd say like
comfortable for me.
150 to 190. It's like gives us 40,000, but to have somebody come in, I mean, it would give us flexibility, I guess, but
I think if we go 150, then we're really going so low. 160 is still pretty low compared to what she was at. Don't you think? I mean,
where do we have
She
the
was close.
historical data where she started? I mean, it was 10 years ago, but
When she started, I think.
Rebecca, yeah.
140?
Yeah, I'm
That
afraid,
140?
I'd have to look at it to, I don't want to throw something out that's inaccurate.
And that
I'd
was-
like to see 185 to 200.
185 to 2.
I do think you do need to encapsulate the lower end of that, the one, whether it be 150, 160, for someone who might be coming without the experience, the full experience.
I don't think we want somebody that isn't experienced enough. I don't
Right.
think.
They've got to
I
be.
think we need someone that has that experience and that knowledge, personally.
It's a range, I mean, we can offer the
And-
high end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do have some assistant city managers and deputy city managers in the area that are at that level as well. So
On similar sized cities?
reasonably, yes. I mean, it's, yeah.
So Mayor, what did you say,
185 to 200.
I'm thinking maybe like 175 to 200. We go that route then.
I like that. I like the 175 to 200. It's a little higher so that we're not starting super low, but
But we've got room.
I can live with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see like where Chris is coming from too, so like saying that, not necessarily somebody that's, like not as, like qualified, but maybe somebody that just has lesser experience in some of the areas that we're looking at might come along and be fantastic. I don't know, so yeah, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter too much, but I would say like, I kind of agree with the 160 to maybe the 200 and just see what negotiations come. Because we could get somebody in that's great, that has a lot of the things that we're looking for, but maybe just not everything yet. Maybe they're learning and growing a little bit in some areas that we're able to be a little bit more flexible in for the right person.
If we had, like, say, like, if we went with 175 to 200, if somebody came in at a level like she's talking about, could we then say, go back and say, hey, we want to offer you this position, but we're, since you don't have these qualifications, we're thinking about going a little bit lower? Or are we bound to be in that?
No.
So.
Yeah, you build
So-
that into your range to start, I think.
And I'm not going to bring you anybody that's not qualified,
Okay.
that does
Thank you,
not meet
Patsy.
your qualifications.
Thank you, Patsy, I like that.
And also, I feel like then they have, we have like money to increase, we have ways for that to increase over time as they've been here too. So like
Right.
Rebecca went, and I think starting us at, the higher end of it kind of cuts down on that like opportunity for somebody to see like, okay, I get to also go in knowing that there's pay increases in the future. And I think, that's a good incentive for most people.
That's where I am with it.
Yeah.
So what do you,
So I guess I'll go to Patty's suggestion. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
and what was your recommendation again? I'm sorry.
160 to 200.
Yeah,
60 to 200? I'm fine with that.
As am I.
That gives us room.
so I'll have that in the profile when I bring it back, and then you all will be the final say on what that is.
Okay,
Thank you, Patsy.
all right.
Okay. That
So-
is all I
That
have
is
for
Can,
tonight.
can I ask another question of you? In this current labor market, what are our prospects? I mean, do you think you will get some very qualified candidates?
It's been very competitive,
Okay.
yes. So, yeah. There are a lot of individuals out there looking to be city managers, and some of them are not, a lot of them are not going to meet what you have described tonight. But when you get to the individuals that you've described, with the qualifications that you want, the attributes that you want, it's going to be a few. It's going to be a handful.
I don't recall exactly what do you guys do to put that out there, to attract those candidates?
Well, we posted many places. We posted, and if we're not getting the caliber of candidates that we feel will present you with a good pool, we'll do some personal reach out to individuals who may be looking, and, yeah.
Okay,
Go
and then
to
I don't
database.
recall either, is there parameters for if, we should choose somebody and they don't, for whatever reason, work out?
Say again?
If we choose somebody and there's some issues where they don't work out, was there any parameters in this? I don't remember. Do you guys remember?
It'll be in the contract.
We start from scratch.
I don't remember. I know some of them did and some of them didn't. I was just curious.
It's going to work out. I think it is that we would help with another search, but, yeah.
So would you foresee candidate meeting the qualifications that we have laid out, coming from more of a lateral kind of move of a very similar position? Or would you see somebody from maybe a community that's a municipality that faces a lot of the same things, but maybe a smaller, maybe half the size of our city that then could this be a little bit of a promotion?
I could
Can you
see
talk about that?
some assistant city managers
Okay.
or deputy city managers being attracted by this position. And yes, some city managers or city administrators of smaller,
Not talking like the
Smaller
2,000 village person,
municipality. Yeah.
right, a city that has similar services, but maybe on a smaller
Yeah.
scale. Okay.
and there may be some department directors. It just depends upon their experience as well. That may be good candidates. We really just have to see what we get.
What kind of department director would you say would meet those qualifications that we've laid out, which is pretty much running a whole city? What would you envision there?
We just, there was a city that just hired a police chief.
Okay.
Public works directors sometimes go into city management. But yeah.
Patsy, I think it's fair to say too, right, you see a lot of finance directors that often end up in city management.
And of late, I've been seeing a lot of attorneys.
Interested, Bill?
So Patsy, can you talk a little bit about our competition? Like, are there a lot of other cities out there that are looking right now? I know it's been kind of weird. Rebecca announced in August that she was leaving, so I think there was a lot of interest initially, and then we didn't do anything, but it didn't make sense to do anything because we'd just start the process and be in the middle, and then we've got an election, and who knows who's going to be on the commission, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So are there a lot of other communities that are out there looking right now, or?
There are a few that I'm aware of, that I have knowledge of. I would say maybe that's looking for the top administrator. It's probably 6, have quite a few looking for that assistant or deputy city manager.
Okay.
You're just talking just Michigan then, right?
Yes.
Okay. And will your search be outside of Michigan as well?
Well, we post nationally.
Okay.
So if somebody is interested, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe they're tired of like the warm weather and sun
Yeah.
somewhere and they
Maybe-
want to take up
Right.
skiing or
Hopefully
something.
by April, May, it's warmed up here.
Our summers are beautiful.
Do we know what some of those other areas that are looking for city managers, can we find out what those places are so we know who our competition is?
Say again?
Do we know the names of the different cities that are looking? Or can we be made aware of?
I don't have them off the top of my head. I just look at postings and so they're out there, who has posted.
Okay,
Just Google
yeah.
Michigan city manager searches.
See who we have to Tanya Harding.
All right. Are there any other commission comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned.